as a cup, like instead of mistaking it for another object.
Well, even then, it's my perceptions that are important. Like my perception that right in the middle of filming that my suspender popped. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. That's because I wore jeans because it's snowing today. So I look like a bum. Kind of, sort of. More bummish than usual. But I'm concerned about it might not be a cup at all. But if I'm believing that it's a cup, and I'm believing that it's not a cup at the same time, that doesn't seem to be possible.
Yeah.
Even if I'm wrong, either way, right? I could be having a dream. Dreams, one of the reasons they're nightmarish is because, it's your beautiful wife, you turn around and it's, a gorgon with 3 heads, or, and snakes, and everything. What the heck happened here? Am I on something? I hope not, because I want to stay legal. I think I lose my pension if I break the law, so must stay legal. The military pension thing. But the question then is, well, if it's not logical necessity, and it seems agreement that it's not logical necessity, what kind of necessity is associated with cause and effect? His answer, habits. We have habits of association, right? That in my mind, this has always happened.
This happens and that happens.
Yeah, every time I do this, it has to be this way, because it always has. It always has in my memory. But we've already established that my memory is fallacious, or can be fallacious, right? It's not trustworthy. Well, if that's the case, I'm trusting my mind in order to give me the support for this, but I've already pulled that away as a criterion that I can count on. So therefore, I do not know that cause and effect relationships are necessary. Now, again, practically speaking, we still absolutely accept that. What's interesting, though, is by pulling the plugs, so to speak, on our being convinced that it's necessary, it's, in a sense, blossomed into a fantastic new world for science. Because up until this essentially then persuades everyone through Immanuel Kant, everyone thought that whatever scientists had said was the cause and effect relationship, they accepted that. And basically when you go to school, you have to learn it, believe it. If you don't know it, you don't get promoted, you don't get your position. Kind of suggests the kind of thing that in the structure of scientific revolutions by Thomas Kuhn, that what really brings about scientific change is not so much a progress in scientific understanding as much as social revolutions from one bureaucracy to the next who have a different basis for the way they solve their problems. And you feel what happens here is that the bureaucracy gets a kick in the gut at this point because they realize, wait a minute, no one has to trust in what the bureaucracy says is true. In the same way that the church no longer has to be believed, because you should be a critical thinker. Math you have to believe, but scientific beliefs are now just as open to criticism as the church was. And so we end up with science. A good scientist no longer even uses the word that I have proved this to be the case. Instead, the language that scientists use is this is my hypothesis, and my data supports this hypothesis. And notice that whole language is set up so that basically I can even hope that someone's going to come along soon with a better hypothesis.
And constantly disprove it with a better one.
Right, and we think of that as progress.
Yes.
Right? Whereas before we didn't have that ability, now we do, and in a sense it results, I think, from Hume's critique of the belief in the necessity of cause and effect.